For those who are fighting for the Palestinian cause, including Arabs, including uh, the majority of the Muslims who are adopting this, all of them, they don't talk about building a Palestinian state. All they are talking about is destroying the Israeli state. This is what they are obsessed with. When we look at the general public, the Palestinian cause remained the main topic. They relied on or they have been indoctrinated with, you're responsible to fight for your Palestinian brothers and sisters. They are dying. Israel is killing them. You have to save them, and so on. So they grew up believing that they have this responsibility. They have this duty towards the Palestinians somehow. While so ironically, they don't have the same duty towards the Sudanese on our southern border. They don't have the same duties towards the Libyans on our western border, but it's only towards the Palestinians. I don't know why, but this is how we were told. So this is one half of the schizophrenia. The second half of the schizophrenia has to do with the lesson that they have learned over years, that when Palestinians move in masses to any other territory, to any other country, they wreak havoc in this country they move to. This happened with Jordan, this happened with Lebanon, and they know that the Palestinians are troublemakers by nature. They are people who were raised on this idea of martyrdom and victimhood.
And there it is right there. Now I want to give a shout out to this brave woman who I'm not sure if she is Muslim, ex-Muslim, what her story is necessarily, but what intrigued me were the first words that she mentioned there, which was essentially how, the West has been sold on this idea that the entire conflict is about, it's about occupied land, it's about territory, it's about land, it's about land, it's about land. Yeah, see, here's the thing. It has always been about one issue and one issue only. And it's been the very same issue that has, stood the test of time from 600 AD when, the so-called Prophet Muhammad was bringing his doctrine into fruition, which is the eradication of all who will not submit to Islam. It's really actually that simple. Yes, there are nuances to geolocation, geographics, there's political nuances and things of that nature. But when you want to get down to what it's about, what's the end goal? From the river to the sea, it's about the eradication of the Israeli state, because it's the one thing that is standing in the way of the ultimate jihad, the ultimate holy war, the ultimate goal, which is what? To conquer the entire world, to eradicate Western ideals, because Western ideals is seen as being in direct opposition to Sharia law. Simple, 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 simple. And so, I've become more and more equipped as far as understanding who the Palestinian people are. Not every individual. That's not what I'm saying, but the temperament, the belief system, the culture they're raised in. What is this thing about? Right? Since the proclamation of a quote unquote Palestinian state in 1988, what has this been about actually? And what I've come to realize is, okay, these are people who have been force-fed from youth the idea that we must eradicate those people, period. That is our end goal. And so imagine a people with that level of fixation. How could they find peace, with their neighbors, especially if their neighbors aren't willing to join them hand in hand in that exact mission? They are fixated, solely fixated on the destruction of the Jewish people. And, as they say, they first come for the Saturday people, then they come for the Sunday people. It's really that simple, right? You're not left out of the equation. People think, oh, this has nothing to do with us. Well, I shouldn't care. Why do you care in the first place? I care because it's always been an us thing. And if you don't understand the devil you're dealing with, then, well, good luck with that one. We all seen how that's worked out throughout the last, God knows, 60, 80 years, 100 years of modern history, when jihadism was ignored or not treated as the actual imminent threat that it really is, not taken seriously. So again, Palestinianism is an ideology in itself. These people hold a certain culture per se. And that culture is not, kafirs and whatever the hell it is and certain types of foods. Much of that has been taken from others around them. They have essentially quote unquote appropriated a lot of these different things, becoming sort of Frankenstein's monster of a group of people who had the world believing, oh, we just want our land. Poor us, we don't have land and we're not recognized as a real people. It's never been about that. This is being used. And again, it's I think sometimes it's the level of ego we may have, all of us as humans, but in the West to say, well, these people can't really be that sophisticated to be able to what? To lie? We've seen Pallywood. We've seen Gazawood. We've seen how we have been duped into believing these certain stories. And then Western media pushes a lot of these, whether it's because, they've been, as my guy Nathan Livingston says, because of their laziness in their journalism, or in some because their alignment with corruption and, drawing out these narratives and continuously pushing out narratives without even checking twice and referencing who and why they're looking to have us believe this. These are individuals who are capable of lying to you. And in their religious code, according to Taqiyya, they can lie to you. According to Taqiyya, if you're a non-believer, it is okay, permissible even, to lie to the non-believer in order to essentially move Islam forward, to progress the ideology that is Islam. That is difficult for some of us to comprehend because you can't think of your faith, talk about lie, like thou shalt not lie. Thank you. Every faith, every belief system is not built equally. I know it's easy to sort of box everything in and take away the complexities of it all and just to, ignore those parts. No, we're all the same. Just because your neighbor Muhammad is one way does not mean that the ideology itself is not a carrier of such belief systems and such behaviors. We have the people who are on the ground, who are experiencing this, who have been, targeted by their own governments, who are being executed, who are being eradicated, slaughtered at mass because they won't stand up for this. Don't you think that they would be the most equipped to speak on these things? Instead of us here in the West who, raise up a flag because we've been told to. Don't even know where the hell the place is on a map. But we stand with them. Come on.
And they adopt violent resistance as their identity and ideology. It has become their identity, actually. Think about it for a moment. Violent resistance, the use of violence, has become part of their identity to the extent that a mother would be willing to give away her child to die in the ranks of Hamas just because she believes she's doing something good by letting him fight against the Jews, who did not hurt her. By the way, these Jews could probably have maybe cured her from diseases, or cured one of her relatives from a disease, or provided her with aid during COVID-19 or whatever, but still, she's on a mission to make babies and send babies to the ranks of Hamas in order to the Jews. This is dangerous if being exported to Egypt or exported to any other country.
Again, these are sometimes almost unfathomable ideas in the mind of a Western individual, right? Or at least if you're not psychopathic in nature or something of that sort. How could a mother think to herself that here's this beautiful, innocent baby. I'm going to raise them to destroy other people. My child, my infant, is going to lose their life for the sake of my ideology. So again, I get it. You can try to draw comparisons relatively. Well, Isn't that the same with, an American soldier, a mother who says my child is going to be sent off? I've never met a single mother who said, I can't wait for my child to go over and to die for the cause or to, usually it is mourning, it is weeping when a son or a daughter makes the decision to do exactly that. And if the parents believe it is a righteous cause, then they will stand behind that decision, but it's not a celebration of death. It's a mourning of the unfortunate nature of war itself. That's a very different temperament to come from. Most pray and wish and hope their child doesn't get dragged into war. If we could have seen the mothers and the fathers of the boys who were dragged into World War I, II, Vietnam, mourning because their child will likely come back in a box. Likely. Yet to look at an infant and to say, this little one here, I'm offering up as a sacrifice for the cause. What cause? A totalitarian, fascistic, if we want to use that, ideology that looks to control everything and everyone around it and sees those very women as second-class citizens. That right there is almost impossible to fathom. And so that being said, I wanted to end it on this video here. Another young woman telling the whole damn truth while wearing a hijab. Because I believe everybody's experiences are important, especially those of which are coming from these places, are living these experiences, and are essentially the resistance in a very real way.
In any civilized society, a woman having an opinion is normal. In Sudan, under the Muslim Brotherhood-led army, it is a crime. Let's take my own case. When I spoke about the Hamas of Africa, the drug lords who control Port Sudan with the blessings of Colombian cartels and Hezbollah networks, poisoning the region and threatening the international community. What did their defenders do? They debate facts. They counter with knowledge. No. They crawled from the shadows and hurled filth instead of arguments. I mean, you gotta hear this. May God give you cancer. Your face is like a mouse. Thank you so much. Prostitute. Slut. You belong in the kitchen. Taste the hell of fire.
I mean, truth be told, can you expect anything more from ideologues who see you as the equivalent of their livestock? And this is something, again, I wish we could just, not necessarily in a coercive, controlling way, but to implant thoughts. Like, I wish there was a download of consciousness into every feminist mind who is currently, quote unquote, pro-Palestine, free Palestine, to show them the visions, the images of what happens to women, especially those who resist. Because that's them. They are the la resistance, right? Especially those who resist. I wish they could see image after image after image of the women who have been massacred, R-worded, who have been tortured because of them resisting for the sake of them fighting for their rights. That would do it in and of itself. There was real quick, you will find a massive move to conservatism. I promise you, overnight.
This is their logic. This is their morality. It's not just how they speak to me. It's how they speak to their mothers, to their sisters, their wives. And it mirrors what their army does to women in Sudan. Over 70% of Sudanese women report sexual violence during conflict. Billions are spent on the generals' villas and weapons, while less than 1% on the budget reaches women's health.
And just FYI, this is not AI. I had to take it through a tool to take away the background music. So I found myself an AI tool. The only AI I will ever use is for something like that. I would never use it to write content, to create something. Nah, I'm not interested. Support real creators. But yeah, I just had to take out the background noise, so it might be a strange sounding simulated type of voice because it just tried to draw out her words as opposed to the copywritten music.
And protection. Women are beaten for wearing jeans.
Her crime? Caught wearing trousers under her Islamic clothing.
Imprisoned for marrying a Christian.
A pregnant Christian woman in Sudan has been sentenced to death for apostasy. Miriam Abraham is the daughter of a Muslim father and Orthodox Christian mother. According to Christian Solidarity Worldwide, a court ruled Miriam left Islam when she married a Christian man. The judge gave her 4 days to recant her Christian faith and escape the death sentence, but Miriam refused. She says she's never been a Muslim.
Inside hospitals. And children are not spared from sexual violence. So violating the people, not just killing or hitting them, but also sexually violating them. Some of the children who went to this police station, they complain about attempts of sexual abuse, the boys and the girls, the boys especially. So when a woman dares to speak, the Muslim Brotherhood everywhere rushes to silence her. And not with us. I'm from a nation that reached Mars. While they are still busy destroying their own land and enslaving their own people. To those who curse and slander, this was your first lesson. We do not respond with filth. We respond with manners, facts, and dignity.
Ooh, okay.
Now try again.
Okay, girl.
Speak without swearing. Argue without degrading. Show the world you are a human.
I mean, it's difficult when you have essentially traded in your humanity. You've allowed your hatred, your anger, your bitterness, your resentment to overcome you to a point where you can't think rationally. So, shout out to that young lady right there. Shout out to you. I don't know who she is. Just came across her, but she's on point. So, why is it that I don't have these same sort of criticisms for everybody, right? The same smoke for everybody. And a former version of me would have tried to appease the mob by doing so, right? Everybody's problematic. Everything's problematic. But guess what? This doctrine is not, how do I put this? The Bible doesn't teach this. The Torah does not teach this. I would assume the Vedas don't teach this. The Quran teaches this. It endorses this. It promotes this. Again, there's no parallel to be made with the ideologies. How do I know? Because if you go throughout modern history, where has a majority of these sorts of incidents come from? Which people on scale? I'm not saying that there hasn't been the scandals in the Christian church. Oh, Lord knows there have been one too many. That there have not been Jews who have done some of the most apprehensible things. But to get to the ideology itself that makes this okay, that gives the stamp of approval, it is disproportionate. You know, when we look at statistics, a slight deviation, like, 100% increase on something. If something happens 2x, 3x, that right there is, they say even 1.2, 1.3, 1 to 1.2, 1 to 1.3 ratio of something happening is a deviation that is worth its salt. It's worth investigating why that is. Imagine if something is happening 1,000, 5, 10,000x from one group of people. It's coming from here. Would you not investigate what's going on? What's the actual problem? This is something I've done earlier in my, YouTube career or content creation career of investigating Black culture and getting to understand what has led to this one small group of people, being responsible for so much of the criminality, of the poverty, of the single mother households, broken homes, etc. What has been the cause of these massive problems that are coming disproportionately in the same way you would any other group, right? If you have 50% of, cousin marriages coming from people who happen to be from Pakistan, would you not look at that and say, what's going on here? As a doctor who's having to deal with the ramifications of these kids who are coming out and, they're mentally and physically compromised, would you not ask that? If you're having a societal problem of terror and it's coming from a very specific group, 9 times out of 10, would you not look at that? But instead, we're so afraid, or at least we've been afraid in the West, to just quantify it. Say, yes, it is a specific group because we think that's racism and that's going to lead to, greater problems. When in truth, what it does is it allows us to zone in. Yes, the racists are going to be racist. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless. You don't need to give them a reason, right? They'll look at a group like the Indians in America, not Native Americans, but Indians who are doing very well, and they'll still look to be racist towards them, right? Vivek posts a picture, proud to be an American, and he gets none but slander in his damn comments. He gets none but anti-Indian slander. Like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a genuine phenomenon that if we don't investigate and we don't do something about, like leftism, like Marxism, if you don't do something about it in the way that we voted against it. We put Trump into office to eradicate what this is and where it was going, because it became a real life danger. It was no longer a cutesy little thing of, I'm a little protester, hear me roar. It was, we're taking your kids and we're going to chemically, your kids. We're going to rid them of their natural biology and give them over to a perversion. When that type of stuff starts happening, you have to do something, and we had the power and we did something. We voted in opposition to the woke lunacy, and there have been children saved from this perversion, multitudes of children. And that right there is a beautiful thing. We do have power. We can say no. We do not have to submit. We don't have to let it happen. We don't. We could say that doesn't match with what we got going on here. No, thank you. People get mad about the white only town that was being built. And I said, well, what's the problem? I'm not invited. Cool. I didn't care to come, but what's the problem? They don't have the right to do their own thing. They'll probably have their own infighting. If they're true racists and they just have hatred in their heart, they'll end up fighting something to fight about and something to be at odds about. But if they're people who just want to live in peace because they've had enough, situations in their life that have said, you know what, we need to get away from this group of people, then okay, so be it. Let them do their thing. Let them do them over there. They've chosen what they want to live in the midst of, and we have a choice. I've never once said, oh man, you know what? These Muslims, they should never. No, it's that ideology and the way that it's being pushed and promoted and perpetuated, and the laws are becoming our laws. And no. We didn't sign up for that. That's not how we roll. Oh, we want to have freedom of religion. Okay, perfect. Everybody gets to practice their own thing, do your own thing. Beautiful. But to have the level of effect to where now, slowly but surely, you look to ingrain your own law as the law of our land? Absolutely not. We left totalitarian regimes for a reason. Individuals like myself and my family left dictatorships for a reason. We left Zimbabwe for a reason. Absolutely not. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace. Aquarius. Where? I've been up for hours, I've been up for days, you. Staring at the ceiling, I've been counting strays, you. I've been in my feelings, I've been out of mind. I've been getting visions of the other kind. Yeah, I've been up for weeks. I'm in the counting blessings over counting sheep. I can never be the type to limit when it comes to me. I used to be the pleaser for the people. I ain't even